Miami Football Talk here at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, on a Saturday night special. Appreciate all of you coming into the live chat. I see a number of comments already posted in the live chat, and you know me, you guys know me. I'm going to cover as many questions and comments, debate topics as you would like me to cover, so I will dive right into the live chat. There's a number of reasons we're going live here to talk Miami football tonight with you. One is that we have not posted live here since our post-game live analysis after the bowl game against Oklahoma State. Also, there's a ton of comments that come into the channel on a daily basis, so thank you for those. And I want to be able to respond to those. So if there's a lack of comments, questions, debate topics, I always say debate topics because this is one of the big reasons we're here. And one of the things that we do best, or aim to do best, is debate college football in a respectful and friendly way, of course. But debate college football here at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, whether it be Miami or on the main channel. For those of you who are not subscribed, I ask that you would. If you love Miami football, subscribe right here. If you just want to support the channel, if you want to support what we do at MarkRogersTV, go to any of our channels and just hit the subscribe button. Don't turn on the notifications if you don't want to be hassled by the notifications. But if you just want to help us build out the platform and want to see this grow, build, and succeed, then subscribe to all the channels. We've got tons of channels, 12, I believe, featuring Ohio State, Michigan, Nebraska, the SEC, Clemson, Miami, Notre Dame, Florida State, yes, Texas, Oregon, USC. I think I hit them all. So subscribe, especially to the ones that have yet to hit 1,000 subscribers. Michigan, go over there and subscribe to that channel. In particular, Michigan would be a great one to subscribe to, in Nebraska and Oregon's at around 830 subscribers. We need to get Oregon to 1,000. So thank you so much for that. And again, I'm going to dive into the comments, the questions. And if there aren't too many in the live chat, there are a zillion that came in and always do to the channel. So I will review those. And the phone lines are open. 860-325-3687. 860-325-3687. And yes, I will correct an incredibly pathetic error on my part. You ready for this? Okay. Even better. How about that? And before I post the call-in number, I want to point everyone to the crawl at the bottom of the screen. Shop Amazon. Use the link in the description section of any of the videos. Go to any of the videos, grab the link in the description section that says Amazon, and do your Amazon shopping using that link. It's the same exact shopping experience. And I know tons of people are on Amazon. That is obvious. I saw some ridiculous figures, like 40% of America, maybe more than that. Can you imagine? There's like a couple 100 million people shopping on Amazon just in the United States. So I know out of 4,000, 5,000 Miami fans that a couple thousand shop on Amazon. You can do the same exact shopping experience by grabbing the link in the description section. You don't have to buy the product. Don't have to spend any extra money. It is the same shopping experience, and we would appreciate it. All right, let's get to the phone lines. Amazon, the Amazon link. Again, put it somewhere where you won't lose it. There's the number, 860-325-3687. Now let's get to the live chat. A Florida fan, a Gator fan was the first one to the live chat? Really? Even if it was George? George getting people riled up. Nobody cares about Miami. They're a bunch of whiny babies. Whoa. Miami football reminds me of a little squeezed doll baby. George, usually embracing Miami. George, what got into you tonight? Usually a Gator supporter who just says you root for Miami typically. George, it's always next year with Miami. Okay, man, George posted like the first 10 comments. Finally, we get to Jake Bobby 305. Let's go Canes. Good to see you, Jake. So we got a lot to talk about. N'Kosi Perry has moved on. Tavaris Robinson's the new defensive backs coach. He might be able to save Blake Baker's job in 2021. We've got a number of NFL draft decisions to be made. Brevin Jordan has decided to move on. So we got D. Hernandez on the line saying that he's hearing that Blake Baker was told to seek employment elsewhere. Makes me think, what about Charlie Strong as defensive coordinator? Charlie Strong has served up many times. He's out there as a possibility. Will Muschamp. Derek Mason was hired by Auburn this week. And let's see, Michigan just hired. Did I really just forget who Michigan hired as a defensive coordinator? Didn't I just post this? I think I just posted this in the last few days. Anyway, we've also got Notre Dame plucking up Marcus Freeman from Cincinnati. Phil B's favorite statistic in recent weeks has been Miami's failure in bowl games. 1-10 in the last 11 bowl games. Of course, they got the win against West Virginia 2016. Yeah, that's right. Vinay has made his way to Miami for another reason. The only relevant thing going on in Miami right now is the fact I, along with my Buckeyes, are here to battle for another national title. Vinay, we appreciate you joining. As always, of course, you're a great contributor here, but we will only talk Miami football tonight. Buckeyes don't deserve to be in the playoff. Phil B. And here comes the Florida State, Ohio State, Miami smack back and forth here. Phil B. I was at the 2013 BCS championship game between Auburn and FSU. That was dope. Out at the Rose Bowl. Dominic, good to see you. All right. The Kane 15, Blake Baker's status. Will he wind up on the staff? If so, what capacity? I would think that if Blake Baker was going to be fired, that would have happened prior to now. So the bowl game was about a week ago, more than a week ago. Bowl game was somewhere around the 28th or 30th. Whenever it was a long time ago. I just, usually these hirings and firings come much sooner for a number of reasons. Guys are being taken off the market, but we did just see Auburn pluck up an offensive and defensive coordinator. But of course, Brian Harsin was just hired and announced, I believe, on Christmas Eve. I believe that your nation out there, Miami football supporters, love the Tavaris Robinson hire. He's been highly accomplished, done a great job at various stops. We talked about him a couple weeks ago with the wholesome one. Actually, that video is posted on the front page of the channel, even well before I knew that he was going to be named the defensive backs coach. So I think everybody's in agreement that was the guy to hire. Phil B., Miami hasn't won an ACC championship since joining the conference in 2004. And that's an embarrassing statistic for Miami football. There's no question about that. There's no getting around that. 17 years in the conference, no championships, one championship game appearance. It's pretty bad. Got Kiwi Boy. Been on probation 3 times, still got more natties. Always remember this, 5 better than 3 and 34-30. So 34-30 must be the series total. I wasn't aware of that. I did know that Miami had the lead. So 34-30. So Miami's just taken the lead. Miami's won the last 3, correct? So Florida State got within 31-30. So Miami is provided a little cushion at 34-30 with 4 straight wins. 4 straight wins? 4 straight wins. 2017, 18, 19, 20. 4 straight wins to break a 30-30 tie, if Kiwi Boy's correct. No, 35-30. 35-30, he says. 5 is better than 3, of course, referring to natties, which are, in my book, very sketchy and unofficial. Marky, nobody give a damn about the whole state of Michigan. Clavon, oh boy, I don't know if I want any part of that. A little part of me does. Little part of me would. Not that I know a whole lot, but at least I'd hire good people. At least you could count on me to surround myself with smart people. I'm not the smart one, but I've learned from business and I've learned from working in business and corporations to surround yourself with smart people, to be able to recognize who's smart, who's hardworking, who's creative, who has whatever skills you're looking for to get the job done, put them in place and just give them timelines, give them direction, give them support, give them the tools they need and the resources to get the job done, get it done well, give them a pat on the back if they need it, give them a kick in the rear if they need it. First call of the night. Here we go. 13 minutes in. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Miami. Talking Canes. Who's on the line?
Hey, Mark. How you doing tonight? I'm the first one on the line.
I see that. I hear that, actually. How are you, Dominic?
I'm doing pretty good. Just watching some NFL right now. Watching a NFC wildcard game.
Tremendous. All right.
Yeah.
What's on your mind tonight?
Not much really. I mean, I heard about somebody getting hired to Miami, or has that not happened recently?
Has somebody been hired? They hired a defensive backs coach. Do you just call into the show or do you listen to the show? Do you do both? Anyway, they hired a defensive backs coach, Tavaris Robinson.
Okay. I mean, depending on, I think he'll do well with Miami throughout for next season.
Okay. So you didn't know that they hired someone, but you believe that they'll do well. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Just trying to put that together. Okay. Very good. Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. You have a good night.
Thanks, Dominic. I call these call-in shows, I title them as call-in shows. I never said intelligent call-in show. Maybe I should make that distinction sometime. Ben, the U's down. Depending on what you consider down. As far as I'm concerned, Miami Hurricanes 2002 national champions. Congrats, Canes. All right. Good job, Canes. We could make all sorts of declarations about national championships. 2017 UCF. I could sit here for 3 hours and congratulate teams on national championships or what could have been national championships.
Press 1 to start the call, or 2. The call will start at the beep.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Hey, Mark. This is Kane Forever. I was just in the chat, just listening.
Kane Forever. What's going on?
Not much. I seen your live show, and I listen to you all the time. So first and foremost, I just wanted to say you're doing a great job, and I appreciate the content that you're bringing, to the YouTubers. And
well, I appreciate the encouragement. That helps keep me going. It's nice to hear. So thank you so much for that.
I really wanted to talk about the hire that everyone is excited about in the case fan base about T-Rod.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty good hire. We need T-Rod, someone who come in to coach cornerbacks and play as far as teaching more man press coverage. And locating the football instead of playing a receiver. The 17 years that you spoke about that we joined the ACC and we never won the ACC championship is due to a lot of coaches in the past 17 years. If you look at the coaches that we had, some of them have been handcuffed, but the other two, they just weren't right fits. Now, as far as the landscape, the college football landscape, everyone downs Miami, Mark, and I look across the colleges. I look at the Michigans, for example, for the world. I look at the Penn States. I look at the USCs. They haven't won nothing in the past 20 years, as I recall.
Whoa. Well, hang on. I think, so the first question I'm going to ask you, Forever Kane, is what do you consider winning? Winning anything? What does that mean to you?
I mean, a fool's gold season from Jim Harbaugh. Let's take Michigan. Let's take Michigan for example.
Okay, Michigan.
Yeah. What has Jim Harbaugh done for us lately? He's been getting a recruiting class. He has great top-notch coaches. I mean, you take Don Chaney, his defensive coordinator, who we just had, and you take Blake Baker that we just had. You know what I mean? So I just look at everything from that landscape, and everyone bashes Miami. Oh, Miami hasn't won. Oh, Miami hasn't won this, and all these other teams haven't won anything either.
Well, again, I just like to understand what kind of conversation I'm getting into. When somebody says nobody's won anything, I don't know what they're talking about. So I'm just asking for clarification. Does that mean just not winning games?
I'm just speaking for the past 17 years.
Win what? I can tell you all. I can tell you all sorts of things that Penn State's won over the last 20 years. They just won. They just won a Big Ten championship 4 years ago.
Okay, and go ahead on with Michigan.
Well, since Miami last won a national championship or won anything, Michigan last won the Big Ten in 2004. That was their last Big Ten championship. If you're just talking about national championships, conference championships, if you're just talking about winning games, Michigan's had a lot of good seasons since the last time. What would you consider a good season? Miami's best season was in 2017. Besides, since
we just won 10 games.
Since 04.
We won 10 games, Mark.
Sure. And so Michigan's done that. I could count it up, I'd say 7 or 8 times during the time that Miami's done that once.
And they won that 10 games, but what was the result? If you win in 10, 11 games,
that's why
I put them in the same landscape as Florida. When I say that to say this, nor that I'm not knocking them teams.
Yeah.
But it's just that the bash of Miami. Okay, I take Florida for a prime example. They just went 10-2 the past back-to-back seasons. Besides this previous season, the COVID season, 10-2. Did they play for the SEC championship, Mark? No.
They went to the SEC championship game.
And what happened?
They lost to the best team in the country.
That's the same thing that happened to us when we played Clemson. We went to the ACC championship game in 2017.
I understand that. I understand that. And a win's a win and a loss is a loss. But let's not put Miami's performance against Clemson and compare it to Florida's performance 2 weeks ago against Alabama.
No, I'm not saying the past. I'm talking about the 2 previous seasons. What have they won? If you go 10-2, you expect to play for your SEC, your conference championship.
Okay.
Even if you don't want to lose, the scale of your team is based on how you play that season. If you lose in your conference championship, so say you do make it to the championship,
okay,
and you may get blown out. Okay, now people's gonna look at you like you fool's gold. If you go to the conference championship and you play them tough, which is Alabama or Clemson, they're going to look at you like, oh, you're on the upscale, or they're climbing up the ladder. They're making the next tier step. They're making the next tier step to either to the elite program or to a program that you know that they're going to be competing every year. I just don't see that as far as, yeah, they're winning these games, but is it fool's gold? Okay, Florida just won 10 games, two seasons back to back. This season they had Cal Trash, who was all world for them. And then we look at the Oklahoma game and we look forward to next year, and it's like, oh, we don't know how this Florida team is going to look. But when it comes to Miami, it just appears passionate, like we haven't done anything. Yeah, we haven't previously under the 17 years, our wins and loss records haven't dictated what we do, because if I look at NFL Sundays, even though we still not winning, we're still producing players in NFL, and they're still getting people fantasy points. So it's just to me, as far as when you talk to Miami, I just feel we just need the right coaching stuff, the right coaching in order to take those steps to be the program that we once were. Now I feel like our fan base, we're getting excited because it's the hires that we're making. We're seeing the changes what Manny Diaz is making as far as coaching changes. He did it with the offense last year. This year, it's starting to show. As far as the T-Rob hire, that's a big hire for us. That's a big get. That's a Miami native. That's a great recruiter, and he's a great developer.
Mm-hmm. So basically, your original point was that there are a lot of fan bases out there that slam Miami, and they haven't accomplished anything either.
Yeah, in the past 17 years, and half of the fan bases that clown us don't have the history or don't have the prestigious trophies to even conversate with us, nor do they have the players to conversate with us. I don't disrespect Northern. I respect Clemson. I respect Florida State. But some of the fans, they just go overboard with it. I mean, Clemson, yeah, you're on the high road now. Everywhere that these programs are going, we already been there. Now that we're down, everybody wants to keep us down. It's just like Alabama. They've been on the run for the past 10 years, but before they got there, what was it? And the cloud is up. I just feel like it's a evolving door. It's a rotating door. Everyone has their run. So enjoy your run while you're on it, but don't knock another team when they're down, just if you don't have the championships or the prestigious history to back up the fact that you're claiming. As far as Miami, everybody talks down about Miami, but every Sunday I see Miami players all over the field scoring touchdowns and making big plays. Still to this day, we have Frank Gore that we talk about, Mark Rogers. When did he graduate? He's the third leading rush in NFL rushing history.
Mm-hmm.
I can still go players, the previous players, even on teams that were 6 and 7, teams that were 9 and 4 for us, Rayshawn Jenkins, the Denzel Perrymans of the world, they're starting.
Well, you can look at that two ways, though. There's a positive and a negative to that. You can say our teams that won 6 games produced a lot of NFL players, and that looks good, that sounds good on one hand, but on the other hand, you can say our teams that won 6 games produced all these NFL players. What what the hell happened? Why didn't they win when they were in college? So you can look at that two ways.
And that goes to my point exactly. That goes to getting out coached. I know you've seen the movie Waterboy, right, Mark?
Sure.
When teams claim Miami, I take for instance Mac Brown. When they look at our coaching staff, they look at like little puppets over there. They already knew they weren't. I mean, our coaching staff, they were going to come into that game and outcoach it. It don't matter if you can have all the athletes and the talent in the world. If you don't have the coaches to develop and put those players in place where they need to be, it's never going to work out. Philadelphia Eagles, they proved it that year when they got all those players, and everyone said Philadelphia's going to win the Super Bowl.
Sure.
What happened? And the great coaches at the college level, they do that. It don't matter how much talent they have. Ohio State, your team, for example, Alabama, the great, they find a way to utilize all their talent in the best way, and they develop the talent. Miami is now getting those coaches who are able to develop the talent.
I don't think that Miami's hired a first-rate head coach other than Mark Richt, but he wasn't in the right position in his career, obviously, in the right mindset. Didn't necessarily have the right approach when he finally arrived at Miami. But everybody else since Butch Davis has not been a good coaching hire from the head coaching position, in my opinion.
And that's been part of our problem. And a lot of people don't realize that. They realize it, but they just because it's Miami, or we just gonna kick them while they're down. They're gonna keep kicking us while we're down until we get the coaching. They're gonna keep kicking us while we're down. So I mean, when it comes to Miami, it's just I just feel like it's on a different level as far as how people perceive the Miami Hurricanes as a football program. But I respect it because that's what comes with it. When you play for Miami and when you coach at Miami, it's a lot on Manny Diaz. And you're right as far as we haven't had a great heart since Mark Richt or Butch Davis. But when you look at him, Mark, Manny Diaz is a young coach. I applaud him now from thinking he's the smartest man in the room to now hiring coaches who's around him, who's really able to help him. Brett Lashley and his staff, what he was able to break in, that's allowing Manny Diaz to focus more on the defense. As far as now, he sees what's going on with the defense. From when he was the coordinator to the 2 years he was the head coach, there was a big difference. The statistics, numbers, everything shows that there was a big difference from when he was the DC with his staff. So now that he's able to see those changes, and now that we have defensive lineman coach stepping down as far as Stroud, and I hope he's okay, and I pray for him as far as his health. John Packey, him from Vander going to make his own mark. Now those doors are opening up for us to get coaches that will develop, and now we'll be on the same playing field as everybody else. So I'm just excited to see what does this take us again. I know it's a lot more news to come for us, but I'm just excited. And now we really starting to get the coaching and develop it. Now we can really start to, look and examine our program and our players and see what's going on. While we're not making the choosing the things we're not doing.
All right, man. Anything else?
No, Mark, I just want to say a great show. I appreciate you for having me on. And for all my Canes fans, we're excited about 2021. Even though we got Alabama, but hey, who knows what can happen. They got a new offensive coordinator, a lot of players leaving. First game of the season. We'll see what happens.
There you go.
I'm optimistic.
Hey, why not? Why not be? Why not be?
I don't know. I take my money to Vegas. I might be a rich man, Mark.
You could do that. You could do that. You could give it a shot. You might as well measure yourself against the best. Why not? All right, man. Thanks so much for the call. We appreciate it.
Back in the chat, and I'll let you finish.
Good stuff. Thanks, man. Have a good night.
You as well, Mark. Thank you.
Chuck C., thank you so much for the Super Chat contribution. Appreciate that. Thanks for all you do, Mark. Lots of different times that you get the show going. Much appreciated. Maybe Manny would be a better AD than head coach. AD, Dad was the mayor. AD, mayor. There could be some skill sets that were handed down to Manny. I don't know. I'm not saying that Manny Diaz is not a good head coach. I think we've seen some definite growing pains, but we see that with just about everybody. So I don't know that he won't succeed at Miami. I'm not saying that. And when I made the comment to the last caller, Forever Kane, about that, in my opinion, Miami's not selected a quality head coach since Butch Davis. This is what I mean. I'm taking Mark Richt out of the conversation because he proved to be a first-rate head coach at Georgia. But by the time Miami hired him, he got off to a great start. Good first year in 2016, excellent recruiting class, great start in 2017. He botched the quarterback situation. He hired his son, put him in too much of a position of impact, and obviously that went south. So Mark Richt was a good hire, just didn't turn out well, and he was not in the place in his career that he was just either tapped out, he should have retired, or just made that one bad decision and stuck with it and defended his son and didn't change, and so that went bad. So that was a good hire. That was a reasonable hire. I don't think anybody out there was saying that's a bad hire. But everybody else, the evaluation I'm making on the head coaching hires since Butch Davis is that I don't know that you could find another major power in college football and look at their head coaching hires over 20 years and take all of them and select all of them and evaluate what did they do at other places. What did they accomplish at everywhere besides that destination? And for everybody that Miami hired, none of them accomplished anything anywhere else. And that's why I consider them poor coaching hires. What did Larry Coker prove or accomplish anywhere else besides Miami? Nothing at the Power 5 level. Same with Al Golden, Randy Shannon. And so Manny Diaz, we're still waiting. We had the conversation with a Wholesome One the other day, and I made the comment that on one hand, I would consider 2020 to be a success. They went 6-6 with a bowl game loss, so 6-7 last year. They improved that to 8-3. They beat all the teams that they were supposed to beat. They beat all the teams. When you look at Miami's schedule, preseason, actually, Louisville was supposed to be a good team, and Miami went on the road as a field goal underdog at the time and whipped up on Louisville. I would say came close to dominating that game. Now, Louisville turned out to be not good. 4-7, I believe. But Miami beat everybody that they're supposed to beat, including a pretty good NC State team. They didn't do that last year. They lost to Georgia Tech, FIU, Duke, Louisiana Tech. So they beat, at least they took that step to go from losing a ton of games to teams that have no business staying with Miami and then converting that to at least beating the teams you're supposed to beat. Now, the Oklahoma State game was, I don't think that was any kind of great disappointment or debacle or an embarrassment by any stretch. Oklahoma State's a quality team, quality defense, mobile, skillful quarterback. They were missing two of their best players. Miami was missing two of its best players. So I don't think the opt-outs had a significant impact on that game. De'Ara King was lost in that game. If De'Ara King doesn't get hurt, does Miami win? Probably. Although N'Kosi Perry played well. So you lose a bowl game, very close bowl game, in which You gave up the first 3 touchdowns, but came back to make it close. So they didn't give up. So that's a good sign that the coach has the locker room. The team didn't give up. They got down 21-0. They fought back. They made it a game, even without their starting quarterback. Down 21-0, lose their starting quarterback, their leader, their best player by many accounts. Don't give up. Stay in the game. Almost win the game against a quality team, a team that's about the 20th best team in the country. There were 2 disappointments. The Clemson game, I would have liked to have seen Miami put up more of a fight. I expected Miami to put up more of a fight against Clemson. Against North Carolina, that was just the worst game of the year. That was just embarrassing. So it's an improvement from 6-7 to 8-3 and beating everybody on the schedule that Miami's supposed to beat. On the other hand, I'm trying to determine if that's based on player development, recruiting, strength and conditioning, doing all the things that you need to do to build a program. And all those things I just mentioned really go under player development. Or was 8-3 off of 6-7 just the byproduct of having a better play caller in Rhett Lashley, better quarterback by far, and a kicker who's going to make the kicks? So we'll see as we go into 2021 if the program's actually developing or they just happen to make 3 good moves that they're benefiting from. Because I don't know that the rest of the roster really played better or was developed much from 2019. Maybe the offensive line. I don't think the wide receivers. I don't think the secondary. I don't think the linebackers. And it was a whole new linebacking core for the most part. All right. So Chuck C., thank you so much for the super chat. You as well, Robert Reed. That's the past. Let's talk future. Okay, love the T-Rob hire. Is there any news on the D-line coaching or special teams? I don't have anything for you there. I know a number of people have asked about that. So anybody in the chat that knows about whether a D-line coach is ready to be hired or a special teams coach, let us know. Somebody had mentioned in the chat that the Colorado defensive line coach is a candidate. So, Robert, thank you so much for the super chat. Yes, we will look forward, but you guys know my deal. I'm not the Miami expert. I watch the games. I watch all of your meaningful games. So I know about the team. I know your players. I know their strengths, weaknesses. I don't know them like the analysts I have on, like the Wholesome One, Cam Underwood, Paul Scoop on the U. They follow your team every day, talk your team every day, lock it in on just Miami. I'm all over the place. I'm covering everyone. I'm watching everyone. But I watch Miami play all of its games. And I watched actually every game this year because there were no Bethune-Cookmans on the schedule. So I know the personnel, but I don't know the news in terms of who is in line for a D-line or special teams coach's job. Yeah, Jeff Hafley at BC. Now that seems to be a good hire. Paris is asking, are you sure Padkey and Baker were fired? Why would Baker retweet the T-Rob hire on Twitter? Also, Manny Diaz liked Lou Headley tweet about getting after it with Padkey next year. So there's just thought that Blake Baker and also the special teams coach could be on the street. Mike Williams would like to see Sataki from BYU or Hafley from BC coach Miami. Those would be 2 excellent hires. But Manny Diaz got the job, had a disappointing first year, had significant improvement based on the record the second year. Now, that might be smoke and mirrors based on what I just mentioned with the arrival of Borregales, Lashley, and King. Or it could be that he's building the program. The recruiting class. You've got to be happy with the recruiting class. It was in the top 10 in the nation. Mike says, Mark Richt was one of only few coaches that still ran that outdated pro-style offense that Miami desperately needed to get away from. Yes, Mark Richt should have been a CEO coach. He would have been excellent at that. He can recruit. He can say the right things to the media. He can use his credibility and what he accomplished at Georgia to draw in recruits and build the program and be a good figurehead and be active and involved. I don't mean a true figurehead, but he needed to turn over the offense to, like if Mark Richt would have had Rhett Lashley, you might have had something. Yes, Cheryl, Miami, Alabama, game 1, 2021. Can you believe it? Alabama, Miami. Boy, we're going to be talking that one up. Chuck C. Mark, I think that Manning will turn out to be a great coach. Dabo took some time to build his program, and they gave him some time to do it. I'm good with giving Manning some time. Build it. Dabo Swinney had a 6 and 7 year. Was that his first or second year? I think it was his first year. Dabo had a 6 and 7 year, just like Manny did. And Dabo took over a program that was pretty much at the same level as Miami. They were winning 7, 8 games over the previous few seasons before that. That's what Clemson was when Dabo took it over. And then by 2011, had a better season. That 2011 Clemson team, that was Dabo's second or third. It's either his second or third year at Clemson. They won the ACC championship. But they got annihilated by West Virginia in the Orange Bowl and Geno Smith. But then in 2012, they didn't win the ACC because that's when Florida State was on the rise under Jimbo Fisher. So Clemson didn't win the ACC in 2012, but they beat a really good LSU team in the Peach Bowl. Then they were off and running. 2013, still couldn't get past Florida State, but still finished in the top 10, won the Orange Bowl. 2014, they built another block toward building the foundation, and then 2015 was the breakthrough with Deshaun Watson. Of course, Watson's rookie year was, of course, his freshman year, 2014. Cheryl says, what's that? 3 coaches for Florida State, and fans blame the coaches. Oh, Pat Keith, the linebacker coach. Gotcha. Les Aguilera. Need a better linebacker coach than Pat Keith. Our linebackers were terrible this year. Why is he still on the staff? Look how many yards we gave up this year.
Press 1 to start the call or 2 to the call will start at 8.
Hey, it's MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Hey, good evening, Mark Rogers. This is Charles. I'm a Hurricane fan, my whole life, born and raised in Miami.
Hey, Charles. Thanks for calling, man. What's up?
Good deal. I'll just get straight to the point. Been a Hurricane fan my whole life. Grew up in the 80s and 90s, saw all the championships. You know what baffles me is that why does this have to be so hard when it doesn't have to? Like you just said, Mark Richt would have been a great CEO. All he had to do was just, get rid of John, the nepotism in the program, and hire people that are begging to come to Miami to do their job. And to do a good job, which they can do, and let them do a good job. Just like Golden with Dorito. They don't want to let him go. It just baffles me through the Hurricane program that we have the best recruits in the entire country for the last 30, 40 years. And all we need is a coach that would take his pride, his ego, his family and friends nepotism type attitude, bring in the right coaches, and get it done. You got schools like Iowa State that can't even recruit in the state of Iowa, and they're finishing in the top 10. And it is so upsetting and it's so baffling. I know there's politics everywhere, but when the soil that we have down south with the players that we have, it is I wouldn't say the easiest, but it's one of the easiest jobs for a coach to come in, plug the right coordinators, sit back and get all the credit because the kids are there. This isn't the pros. Our talent level is far and beyond better than, other kids around the country. But I give Manny credit for bringing T-Rob in, but it's not about T-Rob. It's about why is Baker there? Why is it taking so long? You fired Enos the day after the bowl game last year. Mm-hmm. Let's get the job done. Do I applaud Manny? I give him a half clap because just let's go, man, and let's get the job done. And it doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah, it all makes sense to me. I just, I'm thinking at this point that they're keeping Baker. If they've waited, it's been about 8 or 9 days since the bowl game. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, they're absolutely keeping Baker. I mean, I've been telling people that. I'm like, look, Manny knows how to fire people. He fired Enos the day after the bowl game last year. So this isn't a guy that is afraid to fire people. But it's just upsetting because they expect you to buy merchandise, attend games, be a fan, and to be honest, the people that I feel the worst for are these kids. They're costing these kids millions of dollars. You got kids like Lacoste Perry and a lot of these other players who love the youth. They got offers from Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Florida that got good programs that care about their football team and are going to hire the right coaches and put the nepotism and the politics outside of the program. And these kids are barely getting drafted, 5th, 6th round picks, and they're not being developed. I'm tired of hearing people talk about we need to bring a recruiter. We get recruits every year. It's Miami. Even our 3 stars are better than 4 or 5 stars in other states. It's not about recruiting. I wish people would stop talking about recruiting, how great T-Rob is at recruiting. We haven't had a recruiting issue in the last 15 years. We're going to get a top 20 class. We need to develop these players, and it is very frustrating. I went to school with Willis McGahee and all of these young guys. They all left the local high schools. They all went to UM. But now these same kids that are playing in Miami, when they go play at UM, they're costing themselves millions because they love Miami and want to bring it back. Is this upsetting? It doesn't have to be this hard. Get rid of this guy, Baker. You got rid of Enos last year. I like Lashley. Give him time. I think that was a good hire. I think T-Rob is a phenomenal hire. But we need to hit a home run. And T-Rob is, he's a secondary coach. Get a guy like Jim Levitt in there. Get a guy like Charlie Strong to run the defense. Manny, get out the way. Let these guys do their job. Let them put an imprint on our program. Learn from these guys. So in 4 or 5 years, when Jim Levitt or Charlie Strong comes in and runs the defense and they go to another big school, he would have learned something in those 4 or 5 years. Learn what type of defense works, programs work. So when he brings in the next D coordinator, then he can have kind of like a say-so and he can have some knowledge. But right now, shut up, bring somebody in with experience and get out of the freaking way. That's all he has to do. Just be a CEO like you just said. It's very, very, very frustrating because the talent is there and the politics is, I'm just sick and tired of it.
So who would you hire?
Sorry for the rant.
No, you're good. That's why I'm here. That's why we do this. So you would like Charlie Strong as the D coordinator?
Anybody with some experience. We know Charlie Strong isn't the best coach. We know he's looking to be a head coach somewhere. He could come in, run our defense. Look at the stats with Jim Levitt at FAU. Look what kind of defense he's done in the time that he's been there. Jim Levitt had an issue at USF. It's going to be hard for him to be a head coach. But you know what? He comes into Miami. Charlie Strong comes into Miami. They stay for about 4 or 5 years. They shore up that defense. Lashley shores up the offense. Guess what's going to happen? Everybody's going to want Charlie Strong again. Everybody's going to want Jim Levitt again. They're going to forget what happened at South Florida. They're going to forget what happened at Texas with Charlie Strong. They're going to leave, but Manny can pick up so much in those 5 years before that D coordinator comes in that when it's time to hire the next D coordinator, he can have a sense of, what type of defense he wants to run, what type of coordinator he needs to continue the program. Now we'll have a plug-and-play type of deal where, like, you see the Alabamas, the top programs, if they lose an O coordinator or a D coordinator, it's a plug-and-play because Saban knows what he wants to do. He has an understanding of it, and it just keeps on going. Plus, Saban has the players. We have the players. The only thing in Miami's way is Miami. That's it. Not us, the fans, not the athletes. It's the University of Miami and the nepotism, and I'm sick of it, man. If you would have told me when I was a kid growing up watching the 91, 92 Hurricanes, the 2000, 2001 Hurricanes, and, like, not even including the championships that we got cheated out of, so, like, maybe, like, 6, 7 championships that we played in, like, 15 years, if not us, Florida or FSU, were competing for those championships. If you would have told me that in 20 years as an adult that I would not see a bowl game win in the last decade, I would have bet my arms and I would have lost it.
Well, technically, you would have you would have kept it based on 1 in 11 years, but yeah, one in 10 is not great. Yeah,
I got you. It's extremely frustrating. Manny just needs to get out of the program's way. And it's crazy. It's like everything is there. They just have to get out of the way. They're getting in the way of Miami's greatness. And I love Manny, and he's getting so much praise right now from bringing in T-Rod. And I applaud him from bringing in T-Rod. But guess what? That's a Band-Aid. If Blake Baker, I'm going to tell you something else that no one talks about. Manny calls a lot of that plays on defense. Manny's gotten fired twice, okay, on defense. One at Texas, and the other school with Dan Mullen, I think Mississippi State. He's not a defensive guy. Yeah, he gets credit for those years that Miami had a decent defense. But if you remove those pathetic teams that we were playing out of conference, and then you look at the stats compared to the teams that were in conference or were ranked, even when Manny was at the helm, it wasn't as good as people like to make it out to be. I'm not saying it was horrible. What I'm saying, even Manny needs to take a back seat and let a Charlie Strong or a Jim Levitt, someone with experience, come in and put the, even Randy Shanahan, and I know what they're going to blow back, people are going to say, Randy Shanahan, bring back Randy, man. Just somebody who can focus on the defense. Manny, get out of the way, put your pride out of the way, bring somebody in with experience, learn from them. And then when they leave to get a head coaching job somewhere after we win a national championship, you would have learned a lot. So when you bring in the next guy, you can have something to say. But right now, don't say a dang thing. Shut up and bring somebody in with experience. Because I'm sick of it, man. Yeah, I'm happy we got T-Rod. Whoopie-doo. But if Baker is still there, which he will be, what's all the hoopla for?
well, it's a good coaching hire, but yeah, you still got to deal with Blake Baker.
And again, I'm sorry to rant. It's just that I hear so many people saying, on Twitter, King's Access says this. And why are we speaking for the University of Miami? And I love your show, Paul, Alonzo 1219, and all these guys. I watch all of you guys' shows. But why are we the ones, like, pushing the rumor mill and pushing the hopes and pushing the wishes? Why isn't Manny coming down and saying, man, Baker, get out of here? Like he told like how he called in the whole offensive staff the day he got hired at UM, brought them in the office and said, all of you guys hit the things to get out. Mm-hmm. Why are we the ones like pushing this, news and rumors? No, man, this is your job. Take it by the horn. You know why? You're not going to do nothing. You want to take care of your buddy. Like Rick said at the press conference, it's going to be nice to see my grandchildren. What are you talking about, dude? This isn't about seeing your grandchildren working in the office. This is about you bringing us back to prominence. Dorito, we dealt with that dude. This dude had linebackers in a three-point stand, 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. We dealt with DeAndre for how long? Now we're dealing with just Blake crap. 100 points in the last 2 games, 800 yards. In one game, man, he got fired for that. Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous, man. And then they give us like a little gold nugget, like, hey, we got T-Rob, right, guys? Yeah, but Okay, you know, like I didn't come here to order fries. I came here to order an entree. So I'm just sick of it, man. We got all these kids losing millions of dollars to these guys, millions. All this talent. You guys really think that the Corey Couch and Blaine Jr. and these other DBs can't play defense? You guys really think that? It's the personnel, man. It's the freaking scheme. These kids been balling against the best kids in the country when they were in high school. Now they get to Miami and they're garbage, but when they go to Alabama and LSU, they're all conference. Like, seriously, these kids can't ball. These kids aren't getting coached. It's ridiculous, man. I don't even look at these kids no more like they're doing anything wrong. I know there was a year or two where they were talking about quarterback room, et cetera, wasn't doing their part, and they were laughing at play. But that goes back to the head coach. You know, I heard something on, forgot the guy's, posting one. He said, you're either allowing it or you're coaching it. And he's so right. You know, if these kids are acting all stupid and crazy, it's because the coaches are allowing it to happen. You know, you guys talk and make some good points. Why don't they put these kids on the bench? These receivers should have been benched. Put these young guys in. I watched this kid, Sam Brooks, play defense way better than this fat, slow guy, man. I forgot his name. I think McLeod or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is he in there? Put Brooks in. Put the other young kid in. The other young stud that plays linebacker. Why? Because they're seniors. So what? Do you know when the 2000 Hurricanes won the championship? Do you know how many seniors didn't see the field? They saw on special teams. That's how it is in the pros. You know, they put the best players on the field. Go back and look at the 99, 2000, 2001, 2002 team. Got a lot of seniors that never saw the field. They saw on special teams. They saw late in the fourth quarter because they weren't good enough to start. Men starting all these guys, they're not the best players. Or you guys aren't developing one or the other, man. I'm just sick of it. I appreciate the T-Rob hire, but, Manny, I'm not feeling it. If you got your buddy in there giving up 785 points and 500 rushing yards, get out of my face, man. I don't want to hear it, man.
Good call. Anything else?
I just want to say, man, sorry for the rant, man, but I'm sure there's 1,000 other fans that feel my frustration that, you know, and I'm rooting for Manny. Believe it or not, I hear a lot of people get upset. We should have never hired Manny. You know, I watch Paul School. He's right. But at the same time, I was happy for the hire. You know why? Because a real Miami guy knows we've got it all here. Let's just bring in the pieces that we need. We'll be championship bound within 5 years. Let's go. So I knew Manny wasn't as experienced as he needed to be for that type of job, for that school. But just being a Miami guy, when he went and he fired the offensive staff, I'm like, yeah, that's a Miami guy. He's not here to play around. He wants to get it done. When he brought Enos, I thought it was a good hire. A lot of people did. Right after the bowl game, he let go of Enos. I'm like, yeah, that's a Miami guy. We're not playing around. We got the talent here. Let's go. Now on the defensive side of the field, when it's his buddies, now he's not a Miami guy. Now he's a Manny guy. And that ain't going to fly with me. I appreciate the T-Rob hire, but Manny's losing me. And a lot of people didn't want to hire, and I was happy for him because I saw this is a Miami guy. I'm not going to hold up your line all night. I just want to say thanks for the call. To all the fans out there that feel me, you know, let's just put some pressure on the staff and let them know, thanks for the T-Rob hire, but Manny got to come better than that.
Thanks for the call, man.
Anytime. Bye-bye.
Good rant there. Made sense. Adds up. Mike Williams, thank you so much for the super chat. That is so much appreciated. Want to remind everyone on here that we will take any contributions from you, and this is what I mean. I mean, smash the like button. That's first and foremost. When you jump in here, very first thing before you start to listen to the live stream, just smash the like button. For those of you who are already here, of course, when you leave, hit that like button. It helps us build the channel. Also, this channel will continue, and these kind of shows based on two things, basically two things. Based on your individual contributions, like here with Mike Williams, also Chuck C. and Robert Reed, thank you so much, appreciate that, because basically I'm at work. This is what it is, and so I need to get paid. I love, 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 love college football. I don't think I need to prove that. I think you see it every day in all the content that's provided and in working in the sports industry for now 30 years. It'll be 30 years in September. But I thank you so much for the individual contributions, because this channel is going to thrive and succeed and continue based on individual contributions. Also, would love to get sponsors. So if you've got any lead to a sponsor, and I'm not talking about letting me know that I should go get Nike. Got it. Thank you. No, if you've got a legitimate lead to a sponsor, or you yourself own a business and could benefit from sponsoring here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football Miami, or over on the main channel, all you got to do is hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. So thank you for that. So a lot of good comments here in the live chat. Oh, great comment made by James Scott. And I was about to say this when Jim Levitt's name was brought up. And Mike, thank you so much again for the super chat. So where is that? James Scott brought this up. This is perfect. I was about to say this. Yes. Colorado, 2-10 in 2014. And if you look at the defensive statistics for Colorado, worst team in the Pac-12, worst defense in the Pac-12, them or Oregon State, one of the worst in the country. They brought in Jim Levitt. He basically smoke and mirrors. Now, he got a couple guys drafted from the secondary. The secondary in that Buffalo team in 2016 was really good. They went to the Pac-12 championship game. Were they exposed at times against really, really talented teams that were just so much better that he couldn't do much about it? Yes. They got blown out by a Washington team in the Pac-12 championship game that went on to the college football playoff, and they got blown out in the Alamo Bowl by a much more talented Oklahoma State team. But considering what he had to work with that Colorado team, for them to go defensive ranks were 110th, 120th in the country, and he raised them to a top 20, 25 defense in the country. Then he left, and they went back down to They went to a Pac-12 championship game out of nowhere. Then they went right back down into the tank. Devin Hanna says, Mark, what's up? We really need to get Tyreek Stevenson out the portal and let Ivy, Couch, Blades, and Clark battle it out. Tyreek Stevenson would be a tremendous addition. Tabardine, people don't understand that Manny will be great. Okay, you understand that you're not speaking facts here. You're speaking opinion. You're forecasting. It's not even opinion, really. It's an opinion has to do with an analysis of something that's already happened, or your perspective on somebody's ability or something that they've already shown. So Manny Diaz could turn out to be a great coach. Absolutely could turn out to be a great coach. I don't know that anybody really needs to understand that. That's your opinion. That's a projection on your part. I think Manny Diaz should have been retained after having what I would consider about a D performance in 2019. Based on Miami's talent level, based on the schedule, which was pretty poor outside of playing Florida non-conference, and going 6-7 and getting shut out in a bowl game by Louisiana Tech, that was a D performance. Okay. But I'm not firing a coach after one season, unless he's done something off the field that can't be tolerated. Then he improved to 8-3, in which, yes, there were performances against the likes of Virginia Tech, that were not the best, but they were wins. And this team outplayed its opponents in the fourth quarter. To its credit, the games that Miami should have won by larger margins, at least they completely outplayed NC State, Virginia, Virginia Tech, Pitt in the fourth quarter. I'm probably missing somebody there that they had a close game with that they outplayed in the fourth quarter. But that's basically it. So to their credit, they outplayed their opposition in the fourth quarter, but teams that they should not have been messing around with. But they won the games. I would have liked to have seen Miami stay within a couple touchdowns, 14 to 17 points of Clemson. And I know it was only 25 points, but sometime in the second quarter, we knew Miami was going to lose that game. And really, they scored one field goal offensively in the first half. So the Clemson performance was poor. It was not anticipated, but they were playing Clemson. And then the real downer of the year was North Carolina, of course, at home, giving up 62, giving in, getting just physically beaten, battered, bloodied. That was the big disappointment on the season. But they improved considerably. No losses to FIU, Duke, Georgia Tech, Louisiana Tech. So now, I would think in a 12-game season, and I'm not completely just tied to the record, that the record needs to be blank. There's an evaluation of the performance. And you have to take into consideration injuries. And, you know, if the team goes out there and goes 8-4 and they lose all 4 games, 2 or 3 to good opponents, and they get annihilated, and then they lose to 2 bad teams, well, that 8-4 is not a strong 8-4. So there's an evaluation past the record. But I would think Miami should go 9-3 this year. They should go 6-2 in the conference. I'm not even looking at the schedule. So I just know that they play everyone, of course, in the Coastal. And then they're going to have the 2 out-of-division games, and they've got to play Alabama. They need to go beat Michigan State out of conference. They're going to lose to Alabama. And then the North Carolina game should decide the division. If things stay and project out to 2021 as we expect, the North Carolina-Miami game is going to decide the Coastal Division. And they're going to have to go to Chapel Hill in what will probably be Sam Howell's final season at North Carolina. And North Carolina is going to bring a lot of young talent to the field in that game. They lost their best defensive player, Chaz Surratt. They lost their 2 best wide receivers. They lost their 2 amazing running backs. I don't know about their offensive line. I know that they brought 4 back from last year, so I don't know how that projects to 2021. Tamon Fox, their best pass rushers, back. But Miami's going to have to go to Chapel Hill and win that game. Most likely, that's going to be the game of the year in the division. I am looking at the portal every day. It's tough to memorize because I'm just not looking at one team. I'm looking at about 75. So I don't recall what James is alluding to there. Has anyone heard about 4-star defensive ends Brandon Bowen leaving TCU and Connor Murphy leaving USC? Also 4-star D tackle Jordan Williams leaving Clemson. That was the one I thought was happening. I'm not sure, though. Now, Greg Bush is saying, on the other hand, now let's take a water break here before I read this comment. Now, Greg Bush is saying, why would people fire Baker? Are you serious? We got crushed by North Carolina. We got blasted by Texas A&M. Okay, Greg, all due respect, you probably did not watch the Orange Bowl. Forget the score, 41-27. Watch the game. That was a close game. It was a very close game. North Carolina was missing its 5 best players outside of its quarterback, losing some of the best players in the country. And they stayed right there with Texas A&M. It was a touchdown game with 1 minute left. Texas A&M scored a cover touchdown with a minute left. Okay. So yes, Miami got blasted by North Carolina. That was embarrassing. 778 yards. Wasn't that, what's the figure on that? It was something about, that was the most yards, that was the most rushing yards given up by a Power 5 team, correct? I believe that was the stat, or to 2 running backs. So yeah, North Carolina crushed Miami, who got blasted by Texas A&M. They didn't. They barely lost. And if anything, I thought that was the best bowl performance from the ACC in losing 6 games. That North Carolina, that was almost like a win. We lost the 2 teams we should have beaten. His bend, don't break defense sucks. Oh, gotcha, Greg. You're basically saying fire Baker. Yeah, got it. I was misreading that, I guess. Daniel is saying that it's been reported that Blake James giving Manny a blank check on the defensive side. Cesar Iglesias, our best player never touched the field this year, Greg Russo. Well, you can look at that 2 ways. One would be that once he decided to opt out and enter the NFL draft, he's no longer your player. So deal with it, be better. Great programs, even good programs, deal with those kind of losses. And the programs that aren't prepared for that suffer what, let's say, Penn State suffered. And Penn State's been an excellent program. And they lost their best running back before the season started. They lost their best defensive player, Micah Parsons, one of the best players in college football, and lost their second-string running back, Noah Cain, who was a top 5 running back coming out of high school, basically before the season started. All gone. Penn State lost their first 5 games, went 4-5. But they're better than that. So, yeah, that can be a bit of an excuse. It's a reason, but losing one player, any player, except maybe a quarterback, it's a loss. Everybody suffers losses, and the opt-outs before the season started were all over the place. So yeah, Greg, there you go. Appreciate that. Had some Comcast trouble, some cable problems. Couldn't watch the game. Fire Baker. Luke says, I'm fully confident in our passing game, meaning North Carolina next year. We need to get a guy transferred down from the portal. Caddy Boy 1978. Miami did not beat anybody this past season. True. North Carolina State would be the best win, and they're not good. They're okay. They're a top 45 or 50 team. The 2 measuring sticks were Clemson and North Carolina, and we got blown out. At least you competed against Oklahoma State. At least that happened without De'Ara King for most of the game. Jordan says that Wake Forest pissed me off. They were competitive for over a half that game, and then they throw 4 interceptions and got their doors blown off. Must be talking about the bowl game. Okay. Devin says, I don't think Bubba Bolden is fast enough to play in a top 5 team secondary. He never can win on angles. Bubba Bolden really impressed me out of the gate, but his play really declined over the last, they play 11 games. I'd say the first 3 or 4 weeks, he played lights out. Didn't play perfect. He got lost in coverage a few times, but from a tackling pursuit standpoint, he played well. And a run enforcer standpoint, played well. And I didn't notice him making plays the last 8 or 9 games. Ryan, we talked about that with the wholesome one in regards to whether De'Ara King is going to be ready to play the first week of September against the Alabama Crimson Tide, and that is very much on the dividing line between what is the expectation of him recovering from that type of injury. It's right around 8 months. What I don't want to see, and we'll never know, is I don't want to see the wrong people pushing him to play. If he's not ready, there are going to be people, I should say this if I want to be completely accurate, not knowing, there could be people that have some say in the process that are going to be protecting their own interests and pushing him to play even if he's not ready. That's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen. And the wholesome one and I discussed that on our last Miami live show. Check that out. It's a great show. SEC Dog says the ACC went 0-6. It's a shame they took up 2 spots in the playoffs. Caesar says if Miami goes 10-2 next year, it still won't be enough for some people. They will say how even didn't win big enough, and same on the losses. They should have never lost those games. Progression. So for me, if Miami goes 10-2, and that can be sliced and diced any particular way, if Miami goes 10-2, that's an improvement. They went 8-3 this year. Do the math. That's obvious. But when you think about the schedule, that will most definitely be an Alabama loss. And that will mean that they either lost to North Carolina, which won't be a shock, lost to North Carolina on the road, beat everybody else, or they beat North Carolina and maybe tripped up against somebody else. Who does Miami play in the Coastal or the Atlantic Division next year? I don't know. I don't know what the rotation is. Of course, they've got Florida State. They better win that game. Florida State is... I can't believe how bad Florida State is. Daniel, maybe a cornerback in the transfer portal, but we need to learn to develop our talent. We're wasting people's time. It's a good question right there by Bravo. Why is Jake Garcia no longer an early enrollee? I don't have any information on that. Those kind of questions. So when you're wanting breaking news analysis or analysis of situations, analysis of players, analysis of games, analysis of, again, events and situations, analysis of history, you've come to the right place. That situation right there, there are tons of people out there that their sole job is to cover Miami football like a blanket. And you guys know better what those sites are than I do. All you have to do is Google that. Jake Garcia, early enrollment. What happened? And somebody out there, if there's anything to it, they're going to jump on that. Luke, I would say the same thing. I've been looking at myself in the return here. Yeah. The sleep's been a little rough recently. Trying to get on a sleep schedule. After resigning from ESPN, after 19 years, in which I generally worked the overnight, not a complete overnight until 6 or 7 in the morning, but until 4 or 5 in the morning, that I'm trying to get on a sleep schedule. I'm a late night person, love to be up late at night, but I need to back it off, not 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So I think my perfect sleep schedule would be go to bed at 1, get up at like 9. 8 hours would be phenomenal. So we'll work on that. Vincent is worried about the edge rushers. Last few years, Miami has had player Phillips, Russo, Garvin, Jackson, who will be the star next year. They picked up this kid from Tennessee, Johnson. So Tabardine, we could call you on this one possibly. You know that every comment that you've made in these live chats are still here. So anybody who would want to look at any previews before the Clemson game could probably find your predictions in there. So I don't know. I'm certainly not going to check on it. I would hope I've got better things to do. It doesn't seem to add up in terms of the dates there, Luke, so that's an interesting fact. But certainly, I know that he's been with the program for a long time, so I'm guessing Mitch Trubisky's last year was in 2017, correct? Yes, 2017. No, 20. So Larry Fedora had 2 awful seasons to end his career at North Carolina. That would have been 2017 and 18. So Mitch Trubisky's last year was in 2016. So Fox was there in 2016 probably as a freshman. And then he redshirted, or he's decided to come back as a 5th-year senior. Got it. Greg, I certainly do what? I don't know. Devin, we'll get some rest. We will get some rest. So here's the deal. You guys realize that when you watch one of the broadcast networks, ESPN or Fox, that about 30 to 40% of your time is watching either advertisements, or even within the content of the show, you're watching promotional content of what's coming up later in the hour or what's coming up on the network later. That's what they're doing most of the time. I saw a study on this recently that, for example, if you watch SportsCenter, that 20 years ago, about 5% of SportsCenter was dedicated to promotion. Now it's like 30 or 35% of the show is basically just telling you what's coming up later in the show or what's coming up on the network Monday night or Tuesday night. I'm making that point to say here we talk about football all the time. So you guys need to bear with me every so often when I say, hey, need to talk a little promotion here for a second. There are so many ways that you can contribute. Smash that like button. Shop on Amazon using the link in the description section of the video. I'm going to pound this home because I just know how many people use Amazon. So please use the link in the description section of any of the videos. It's right there. It says Amazon in caps. There's a link right next to it. It's the same exact shopping experience. Okay, also, we've got a Patreon page in which I'll be shooting a video this week to hopefully satisfy our patrons over there on Patreon this weekend, because we've got a great core of about 45 or 50 there at the Voice of College Football community. So we invite you to Patreon, $5 a month. If we're worth $5 a month, please join us there on Patreon. You get an inside look at Mark Rogers TV, the Voice of College Football, my predictions, and a whole lot of other good stuff. And we will need to revamp that, actually, now that we're past the season, of course. But again, join us on Patreon. Help us build the channel. Contribute here via the live chat or the super chat, as many of you have. Let's see, it was Mike Williams tonight, Chuck C., Robert Reed. Also, I'll continue to take calls, 860-325-3687, if anybody else has anything for me. But also keep in mind that you can contribute directly to the Voice of College Football. Just look me up on Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo, and just put in Mark Rogers TV. You'll find us there. There you go, Daniel. Smash the like. Give us a like. Give us likes and comments and contribute financially. Share these videos out on social media. I heard that stated by another YouTuber this week, and it is complete truth. I would guarantee that 90% of the people that follow you on Twitter or Facebook have no idea we're here. No idea. 90%, probably more than 90%. So please share the videos on social media. Let people know that we're here talking college football every day. Maybe not necessarily on the Miami channel every day, but almost every day. And then every day on the main channel. So please share the videos on social media. Would love if you did that. If you could do anything, you do just one thing, share the videos on social media. Let people know what you like and say, hey, this is some good stuff. Bam. All right, good stuff, folks. Appreciate everybody jumping on the line for a Miami Live show tonight. Appreciate the calls as well. You guys take care. Enjoy the football the rest of tonight and tomorrow from the NFL. And again, if you have yet to subscribe to Mark Rogers TV, consider it. We would appreciate it. See you next time.